Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I, Elizabeth, 45 female, went shopping at my local Kmart, a shop in Australia, as I needed a new fan for my lounge room, as it's currently summer here with an average of 38 Celsius on a cool day. Anyhow, I'm wheelchair dependent, and we will call the entitled woman of the story Carolyn, roughly mid-50s. She comes up to me saying, "You can walk, look at you. You look about 30, so just stop faking it and scamming the government and everyone around you." Then she walked off. Well, after a minute of being stunned, I get back to my shopping. My friend was pushing me around. Carolyn comes back to me and my friend, and before she could get into another rant, me and my friend tried to explain why I'm wheelchair dependent and not scamming anyone here. She rips my mask off, saying, "You don't need that. The virus is over now. Go and get those food containers for me and put them in my trolley, as I know you can walk. And stop lying, young lady." My friend yelled out for security or a staff member, and luckily a staff member arrived. And they also got security to come as soon as possible after I and my friend explained what happened. Carolyn then had the nerve to push her trolley towards a staff member, telling her to "Go now. Go on now, get those containers for me. You work here. It's your job." Long story short, I spent around an hour longer than I was supposed to, filling out witness statements after Carolyn got arrested for assault and harassment, and she was taken to the police station. I'm just awaiting the court date to testify. I'm still a little shaken up from what happened, and I'll be doing some home daily Rona tests for the next few weeks as I have a compromised immune system. Thank you, Carolyn, for possibly making me more ill and taking my freedom away for that time period. Okay, so this is my first ever Karen story. It's weird seeing them in the wild after reading all about them. Long post, but really good laugh, with epic instant karma. Anyway, my husband, kids and I were traveling down a 6-lane road. 3 lanes for each direction, coming to light, 1 lane for turning one way, another for turning, and the middle for straight. We come up to the red light and crossing traffic starts going. A gentleman gets the green arrow to turn to the left, while a woman on the opposite side starts turning right. They were going to turn into the same lane. He had the right of way since he had the green arrow to turn. Karen decided to turn directly in front of the gentleman, almost hitting him. She stopped her car in front of his, causing all the traffic to stop. She gets out screaming at this elderly gentleman about how she had the right of way. He saw her turning and was supposed to stop in the middle of traffic to allow her to turn. She then proceeded to call the cops, while stopped in the middle of the road. Mind you, straight traffic cannot move. And crossing traffic that wants to turn cannot move also. Police, ambulance, and fire come. When Karen number 2 sees this, she proceeds to fall out of the car onto the road. Karen number 1 then proceeds to tell the cops the elderly man hit her car when he blasted through the intersection as she was turning. Ambulance and fire went to attend to Karen number 2. More cops show up and attempt to get traffic moving. They attempt to get Karen to move her car. The elderly gentleman moves his without any issues. Karen then proceeds to scream and berate the cops and claims her car is damaged so badly she cannot move it. Mind you, she did have an older model car that looked very banged up, but the elderly guy never actually hit her. After screaming at the cops, one officer went over to the car, and as he reached inside, I assume to turn the car, Karen runs over to him and proceeds to beat him on the back. 8 officers run over to her, drag her off this other cop, all while she's kicking and screaming. Karen number 2 runs over to Karen number 1 upon seeing this, and she starts swinging her purse at the cops, all while me and my family are laughing our butts off with everyone else watching this. Anyway, Karen number 1 and Karen number 2 get thrown to the ground and practically hog ties, all while screaming how they are being mistreated and screaming for, get this, the cops' supervisors. A large police truck pulls up and both Karens are placed in the back. A tow truck proceeds to hook up Karen's car, and the cops clear traffic. I don't know what happened to Karen 1 and 2, but I assume several charges including assault on an officer and resisting arrest. The elderly gentleman was let go. We did speak to a cop before Karen number 1 started hitting people, and we told him what happened. So I assume the old guy was let go without a ticket or anything, cause well, he didn't do anything wrong. My first job out of college was for a local TV station. The owner was, and still is, the worst human being I've ever met. This guy has money, but he will cheat and lie. Anything to get out of paying his bills. When I started working there, the owner had just signed a contract with DirecTV to become part of their broadcast package. Since they were at the time purely a local TV station, this meant that we had about 2 months to upgrade our system so that we can start broadcasting to DirecTV customers in the entire Bay Area. Every day that we failed to do this past the deadline means that the owner would suffer a penalty per the contract. Not knowing about how any of this works, the owner hired a friend of mine to come in as a freelance consultant. My friend told him that for about $15,000 he can get a system that will automate the entire process, which of course this guy didn't want to pay. He tasked my friend with finding a cheaper way, around half, and to pay for all the hardware upfront and get reimbursed later. Knowing what a piece of crap this guy is, I warned my friend not to front the money because he wouldn't get paid back. The guy just smiled and said, "Watch me." So he made it work, and we went live on schedule and the owner was happy. Then my friend went in and presented the guy with a bill. Immediately the usual excuses start. "Oh, I'm a little short this month. Can I pay you later?" And so on and so on. Then my friend pulled out the trump card. Not only did my friend threaten to take all the equipment back and take the station off the air, he reveals that in order to get the uplink working for cheap, someone had to come in every day and code the broadcast manually. It is not a terribly complicated procedure. Takes less than 5 minutes, but of course no one else at the station knows how to do it but him. So either the owner can pay him what he's owed, plus a $2,000 a month consulting fee, or the station goes dark and he starts paying the penalty to DirecTV. And the jerk paid fast. So instead of $15K, he ended up shelling out more than double the amount as my friend lapped up his $2K a month fee for close to a year before he felt bad and finally taught someone there how to do it. Moral of the story: only thinking about short-term gain will always cost you more in the long run. So some backstory. I recently got a traineeship doing IT work in a school. The school is what you can call one of those schools where only the rich can afford. I'm talking $12,000 a year in total fees to go to this school, compared to me who went to a public school and before that homeschool. So already to me this place is crazy fancy. Anyway, I pretty much have my own staff room as the on-site administrator. Let's call him AD. Part of it for being an administrator, but also for him just being an awesome dude. Doesn't use a room for office work. His main desk is in another block, so he is normally there. In my staff room, there are a lot, and I mean a lot of very expensive equipment. From projectors to monitors, desktops, laptops, and so on. The monitors are the main subject of the story. Anyway, during break times, I have to be in the staff room so that students can come and I can help troubleshoot their devices. Mind you, I may be a staff member, but I can't put students in detention or anything, and they know this. The only thing I can do is confiscate items when they are being used irresponsibly, and even so, I try not to do it. Since I first started about 2 months ago, there has been a group of about 8 year 10s. The reason I dislike them so much is because they played handball outside the staff room. Now, I'm fine with you playing handball. Sure, the noise is a little annoying, but I can ignore it. But when you or one of your friends bigs it at each other after losing a round, whenever this happened, they were standing in front of the staff room when being pegged and miss every time, only for me to hear a loud thud from the wall or the window behind me and make me crap my pants. It starts to become annoying. Now, I'm a pretty lenient guy, so for the first 3 times I gave them their ball back straight away and asked them nicely not to throw the ball at the staff room. They didn't listen, of course, and on the 3rd time it came in, I said I would take it till the end of the day. Within minutes, the ball came flying in the staff room, barely missing one of the students that was there having their device connected to the Wi-Fi. I grabbed the ball and quickly hid it in the cabinet. Seconds later, 3 of them come in. "Hey, can we have our ball back?" "What did I say last time it came in?" "Yeah, but I thought I could just have it back." "No, sorry, I've warned you 3 times already. You're going to have to come get it back at the end of the day." "But can't I just have it back now?" "As I just said, you can come get it back later." This went on for another 5 minutes of them trying to persuade the ball from me. They ended up giving up and coming back at the start of the next break. I said next time it came in, that I would take it for even longer. And as promised, I gave them their ball back, hoping that they had learned their lesson. I was wrong. Within seconds, the ball was being pegged at the wall and the window, but they weren't playing handball anymore. They were actively throwing the ball at the wall and the window. A teacher who was on playground duty saw this and came and took the ball off them, which meant I could finally do some work. The next day, they somehow managed to get another ball and was playing the same game again. Again, the ball came in and I said they could have it back at the end of the week. It was a Wednesday. Of course, they argued, but I said no. 3 other friends came at different times claiming that the ball was theirs and the other guys took it from them. I still said no, of course, as I already knew whose ball it was, as I saw him getting it out of his bag. Anyway, one of them thought it would be funny if he pretended to steal a computer monitor near the front door and say things like, "Well, I guess I'll take this if you're taking the ball." A few of them started playing along with other things they could get their hands on. Since it was a joke, they didn't steal anything of value, maybe some cable ties lying around, but nothing else. But it was a type of nonsense humor that just gets on your nerves when it happens enough. And that's when I had the idea. A lot of the monitors in this room are very fragile, liquid crystal displays normally are, especially as some of these came out of a multimedia lab. So I decided to put a few in a row on a table near the door. These monitors would easily cost around $250 to $300 each. Anyway, a day or so later, I hear the banging against the window, and as I expected, smash. The ball flew in through the door and nearly smacked one of the monitors near center, but just a bit higher. I could practically see the damage, but it was so much better than I hoped. I stacked them sort of one in front of the other, so when the first one got hit, it was like dominoes. It actually tipped back and pushed the 4 other behind it, all but the one that was hit fell off the meter-high table and pretty much smashed on impact with the ground. It was beautiful, but also sad. They were some good monitors. I reported the incident to the administrator, who then escalated it to the principal and year coordinator. I didn't see who threw the ball, but outside the staff room are some CCTV cameras, and they got everything. The kid who threw the ball was suspended for 2 weeks and given a $1,000 fine. Or his parents, I should say, for the destruction of the monitors. The rest of them were given a 3-day suspension, since I had asked a total previous of 9 times. When they came back, they no longer played handball in front of the staff room no more. I was smiling for the rest of the week. The best thing, I didn't get in trouble, cause it never would have happened if they listened in the first place. This happened several years ago and is a multi-year-long story. I'll keep it as succinct as possible. We installed cameras in front of our home that were looking at our vehicles. Part of the camera angles did overlook parts of 2 neighbors' properties, one backyard and one side yard. The cameras were battery operated and had a function where you could gray out areas that you didn't want to film. When motion occurred in a grayed out areas, the cameras would not be activated to film. The neighbor's entire properties and several pushes on our property were grayed out. We did this when installing them. One of the neighbors was a friend and had no issues with this whatsoever. We showed her the camera angle and she said she didn't care whether or not we grayed out that area. We still left it grayed out over battery life concerns. The other neighbor's name was Karen. Not really, but we all know why I chose that name. Karen was on the HOA board. And as you can imagine, we did not get along with Karen or the HOA board. We told Karen about the camera and showed her the grayed out areas at the same time that we told our friendly neighbor about it. It was simply an FYI conversation. We are not on friendly terms. Not an asking permission conversation. She told us to take the cameras down immediately, or we would regret it. About a week after we hung the cameras up, we got a notice from our HOA that we were violating the bylaws. The bylaw in question? A nuisance to your neighbor's bylaw. There wasn't a specific bylaw preventing placement of cameras, so this is all they could find to try to punish us. We responded with a letter detailing how we were not violating any bylaws or laws in general, and asked them to cease and desist. We all know how these stories go though. They did not cease, and they did not desist. Their first response?
The HOA has a right to enforce these bylaws. Try to stop us if you think you can.
These types of responses were, unfortunately, quite common from this board. We entered this battle with one goal in mind: to cost them as much money and time as possible. The HOA hired a lawyer specifically to fight us. To my knowledge, this has not happened to any other residents. In the following 4 months, we ended up costing the HOA over $4,000 in lawyers' fees fighting this battle. For reference, the entire HOA income was $25,000 a year. When it comes time for our official HOA hearing over the matter, we had successfully postponed it thanks to an attorney friend 3 separate times. There were over 100 back-and-forth emails with the HOA attorney and ourselves. Each one of those emails was a 50-minute expense for the HOA. And I was happy to follow up a follow-up question with another follow-up question if it meant the HOA attorney was going to keep billing them. Did I say follow-up enough times? Yeah. We didn't actually want to take this battle to court, so we ended up removing the cameras the day of the hearing to prevent being fined, even if the fine wouldn't hold up in court. The HOA decided in the hearing that we were guilty, surprise surprise, of violating the bylaw. They could not fine us, as the bylaws do not allow a fine until after a hearing has been held. The cameras were already removed. In the end, the punishment was a sternly written piece of paper on the attorney's letterhead delivered via certified mail that stated that we were not allowed to place a camera on our home that had the potential to invade a neighbor's privacy. Keep in mind, the letter specifically stated the camera could not be placed on our home. We left the cameras off of the home for about 4 months, until the annual HOA meeting. You should have seen the look on the HOA board's faces when I asked them to explain the $4,000 line item for attorney's fees that simply stated title searches, attorney fees. The board actually tried to hide the fact that they spent $4,000 trying to fight us over a couple of cameras by putting the fees in as title searches. Needless to say, that meeting did not go well for them. About half of them lost their positions on the board. The other half, including Karen, unfortunately, remained on the board. About a week after the annual meeting, we installed new cameras, facing the same direction as the prior cameras. Only this time, we installed a post in the ground and mounted the cameras to that post. The admonishment we received after the hearing specifically stated that we were not allowed to install cameras on our home, and said nothing about putting them on a post. They did send a letter to try to tell us to remove the cameras, but a sternly worded response indicating that we were prepared to fight them actually worked this time around. I guess they didn't want to spend another 4K fighting us. We didn't receive any follow-up responses, and the cameras on the post are still installed to this day, over 2 years and running strong. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.